friends, one of the important area we have to see in AP history, that is advent of Europeans to Andhra. Coming to this one, we have seen so how the Dutch entered Andhra, that we have seen. So next one we have to see advent of Europeans, especially the British. How these British came to Andhra, that we have to see. The British, they were the second people to come to Andhra. The British we are calling, you know well, the British only dominated at last. The British only established their supremacy in India. So now we have to see how these British established their supremacy, all these things. So at the same time, so first we have to say these trade centers, etc. Alright. So like that, how this British established, so that we have to see. Got idea? So they were the second people. So then we have to see English East India Company that was started. The British. The topic is the British. The British. Okay. English East India Company that was started in the year 1600, December 31st only. This was started in the year December 31st, there in Britain, London. So this was started in London. English East India Company we are calling. So English East India Company that was started in the year. So then Queen Elizabeth gave permission. Who gave permission to this one? In the sense Queen Elizabeth. So this was Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth, she gave permission. Who gave permission? In the sense Queen Elizabeth gave permission for their trade and commerce to move to India. So this permission was granted. So who gave permission? In the sense this was given by, so this Queen Elizabeth, like that it was said. Okay. Permission that was granted by this one. Then to get permission in India, what happened? So they sent Captain William Hawkins to the court of Jahangir in the year 1608. Captain William Hawkins came to the court of Jahangir. Who came? Captain William Hawkins came to the court of Jahangir, but Jahangir did not give permission. Okay. So there is first one in the year 1608. In which year? In the year 1608. In the year 1608, they sent Captain William Hawkins. Who is this one? Captain William Hawkins. Captain William Hawkins came to the court of Captain William Hawkins. He came to the court of Jahangir to obtain permission only. To get permission only, he came to the court of this man. But what happened? So especially this, so Captain William Hawkins visited the court of Jahangir. Okay, that is important. Jahangir, to obtain permission. But Jahangir did not give permission in this, especially in Gujarat region. That's why they thought that it is better to move back. So they went back once again. They came in the year 1611. When did they come to Andhra? So that's in the year 1611 only. The British came to Andhra. In which year? In the year 1611. The British came to Andhra in the year 1611. So the British, okay, the British came to Andhra. The British came to Andhra, we can say. The British came to Andhra in which year? In the year 1611 only they came. In 1611. The British came to Andhra in 1611, like that it was said. In 1611 only. The first ship which entered Andhra, Machilipatnam. They entered Machilipatnam. So they entered where? In the sense they entered Machilipatnam. This Machilipatnam that was called Masula. They used to call this one as Masula. Machilipatnam was called, how in the sense? They used to call this one as Masula, we can say. Have got idea? They entered Machilipatnam, which was called Masula. So right, like that. So things went on well in the period of this one. The British came to Andhra in 1611. Basically, so Machilipatnam came to Andhra. Machilipatnam, that you have to remember. They came to which place? Means they came to Machilipatnam. They came to Machilipatnam in 1611. They entered Machilipatnam. Okay. Machilipatnam was called Masula. You know well, Masula. They used to call it as Masula, like that it was said. They used to call it as Masula. Anyhow, so things went on well, like that we can say. Things went on well in the period of this one. So then what happened in Machilipatnam? Who gave permission to these people? So which was the first ship which entered Machilipatnam? The first ship which entered Machilipatnam was Globe. The first British ship. The first British ship. The first British ship which entered Machilipatnam was. Which entered Machilipatnam. Which entered this Machilipatnam was. Which entered Machilipatnam was Globe. Okay, name of the ship was Globe. That you have to remember. The ship which entered Machilipatnam was Globe. Got idea? So like that entered Machilipatnam, name of the ship Globe. The captain of the ship was Hippan. Who was the captain? Captain of the ship was Hippan. So captain. Who was the captain? Hippan. This captain was Captain Hippan. Captain was Hippan, like that it was said. Okay, captain was Hippan. So there is especially captainship of Hippan only this reached Machilipatnam, that you have to remember. Then the first British officer who came to Machilipatnam was Francis Day. Who was the first British officer who entered Machilipatnam? The first British officer who entered Machilipatnam was Francis Day, that also you have to remember. The first British officer who entered Machilipatnam was the first British officer. The first British officer who entered Machilipatnam was. Who entered Machilipatnam was. Who entered Machilipatnam. Who entered Machilipatnam was Francis Day. Who is this one? Francis Day. So his name Francis Day, that you have to remember. First British officer who entered Machilipatnam was Francis Day, that you have to remember. So like that they reached this Machilipatnam. So this happened like that it was said. First ship which entered was this one. They used to call seaport officer as Shahbandar. They used to call seaport officer was Shahbandar. Okay. Seaport. Okay. Officer was seaport officer Shahbandar. Shahbandar, like that it was said. Shahbandar. Then, who was the Golconda Sultan who gave permission to these people? That is also important. Okay, who was the Golconda Sultan who gave permission to these British for their trade and commerce in Andhra? Especially because, so they are rich, at the same time they are prosperous, and the goods which are manufactured by the British, they are qualitative and quantitative. That's why what happened, they decided to dominate in Andhra. Okay, like that, especially they got permission from Golconda Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. They got permission from, okay. So for their trade and commerce, they got permission from whom? In the sense, the British got permission from. The British got permission from. So got this permission from. Okay, Golconda Sultan. So from this, from Golconda Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. From Golconda Sultan. From this Golconda Sultan. Got idea? Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. Okay, he only gave permission to this one, especially to continue. Got idea? So like that, seaport officer was Shahbandar, that you know well. The British got permission from Golconda Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. They started there at Machilipatnam. So that's in the year 1611 only. In which year they came to Andhra? In the year 1611, they came to Andhra, Machilipatnam, that you have to remember. Who was the first British officer who came? Was Francis Day. So this Francis Day was the first British officer who entered Machilipatnam, like that it was said. Have you got idea? So like that here, the Golconda Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah. This Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah's period that was started in the year 1580. So he came in the year 1580, continued till 1612. There's a period of this Golconda Sultan Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah, that you have to remember. Okay, like that. So all these important things. So there is especially. But they established a factory there in the year 1622. There in Machilipatnam, they established a factory in the year, so 1622 only they started. In which year? In 1622 only they got permission. In 1622 they got permission. They got permission to establish factory. They got permission to establish factory, to establish this factory at Machilipatnam. At which place? At Machilipatnam, like that it was said. At Machilipatnam, have got idea? In 1622, they got permission to establish factory at Machilipatnam. So that's one of the important points you have to remember here. Have got idea? So like that, things went on well, like that we can say. So then what happened? In 1621, they moved to Pulicat. So you know well, many Europeans, they came to different places, establishes their centers in different places in Andhra. In the same way, the British moved to Pulicat in the year. In which year they moved to Pulicat means in 1621. In 1621, what happened? So they moved to Pulicat. They established, they moved. So to Pulicat also. They moved to Pulicat. They established there in Pulicat also. In which year? In the year 1621. In 1626, they moved to Armugam. In 1626, they went to Armugam. In 1626, they went to Armugam. Armugam, that is near, especially they went to Armugam. So this Armugam, that is near Nellore. Armugam, we can say this Armugam, that is near Nellore only. So there is near Nellore, that you have to remember. Near which place means near Nellore only this is located. So like that here, the British, what happened in 1622, they got permission to establish their factory there at Machilipatnam. In 1621, they established there at Pulicat. In 1626, they went to Armugam. So, and they established especially all their things in Armugam, like that it was said. But so in Machilipatnam especially, so one of the important competitors were the Dutch in Machilipatnam. So that's why naturally differences arose between the British and the Dutch. And Dutch governor Vansveld asked the Dutch to create fear in the minds of the British. That's why at Ambon Islands, what happened? 10 British merchants were killed to create fear in the minds of these Britishers. At that moment only, it gave way for animosity or enmity between the British and the Dutch, right? So like that, all these things they happened. So they also established there at Nizampatnam, Narsapuram, Veeravasaram, all these are the places. The British also established the centers at. The British also established centers at. Okay, so there is especially number of places only they established like that we can say. So there is mainly what happened, Armugam, that is one of the important places near. Then after Nizampatnam, that is one of the places, Narsapuram, Veeravasaram. Nizampatnam, they established there at which place in the sense. So Armugam, so there is Armugam, you know well, Armugam. Nizampatnam, we can say, there also they established the center, and at the same time Narsapuram, Veeravasaram, they established, and Veeravasaram, that also, Veeravasaram. In all these places, the British established their centers. Trade and commerce, that was continued like that we can say. Okay, Narsapuram, that is one of the centers. Veeravasaram, that is also one of the centers, like that. So all these centers they established. Okay, and they purchased the spices from this region, especially. So there is the South Indian region. Okay, so at the same time, cloth industry that also advanced, because so later who came to the court of this Jahangir in the sense. So there is Sir Thomas Roe came to the court of Jahangir in 1613, and they established a first factory there at Surat in 1615 only. textile factory that was started by the British there at Surat in the year 1615. That you have to remember. 1615, they established the British established the first factory there at Surat. Okay, that also you have to remember. The British established what happened? The British established their first factory. Established first factory at Surat. First factory at Surat. That is one of the important points you have to remember. Surat in 1615 only this came into force. In Surat only they established that came into force in the year 1615. That have got idea like that. All these important things went on well like that we can say. When they were there in Armugam, because Machilipatnam, Pulicat, all these, they were the centers, Nasapuram, Veerabhasaram, Nizampatnam, like that, they were all the centers like that it was said. Okay. So then especially in 1611, in Machilipatnam, they started only trading centers, but they did not establish factory. Okay, they did not establish a factory like that we can say. Then after what happened in the sense, then 1626 only, so they started activities especially. Then when they were in Armugam, they were searching for markets. So these Britishers, when they were in Armugam, okay, when they were searching for markets, this Madras ruler, Damerla Venkatadri Naidu, so invited the British to Madras. That is the milestone especially which gave way for the establishment of their supremacy in India. So because, here they got control over Madras later. So because who invited them to Madras in the sense, so there is Damerla Venkatadri Naidu. These two, Damerla Venkatadri Naidu, Damerla Appaya Naidu, these two are brothers. Okay, they got this especially textile industry, cottage industries they existed. They were manufacturing all cloths, especially cotton cloths were manufactured, and thousands of people were appointed under this, especially Damerla Venkatadri Naidu provided employment to people, and they were manufacturing this cloth and they were selling the cloth to the British. That's the thing which happened like that it was said. Who invited the British? Who invited British to? So this Madras. Who invited the British to Madras? So the British were invited to Madras. The British were invited to Madras. They were invited to Madras by Damerla Venkatadri Naidu. By whom in the sense? By Damerla. Okay, Venkatadri Naidu. Venkatadri Naidu, like that it was said. Damerla Venkatadri Naidu, he only. Damerla Appaya Naidu was his brother. They were both were sons of Channappa. The name of Channappa only, Channapattanam, that was established, you know well. So like that, Damerla Venkatadri Naidu. And his brother was, his brother was Damerla Appaya Naidu. His brother was, so what is the name of this one? Damerla Appaya Naidu. This Damerla Appaya Naidu. Damerla Appaya Naidu, like that it was. So there is Naidu, N-A-I-D-U you can write, or N-A-Y-U. Okay, like that. So here they people invited, these people especially during that time. So even Araviti dynasty ruler Venkatapati Rayalu III, he also gave permission to these people, like that it was said. Okay, these two are the feudatories of, so this Venkatapati Rayalu. Okay, Venkatapati Rayalu III. These two brothers were the feudatories of. These two brothers were the feudatories of these two brothers. Who are these two brothers? Damerla Venkatadri Naidu is one. Okay, so Damerla Appaya Naidu is one. These two, 1, 2. These two brothers were the feudatories of, feudatories we are calling, they were the feudatories of, okay, these two brothers were the feudatories of, so Venkatapati Rayalu III. Venkatapati Rayalu. Who is this Venkatapati Rayalu? Do you know Venkatapati Rayalu? 3. This Venkatapati Rayalu 3 we can say. Okay, Venkatapati Rayalu 3, he was Araviti dynasty ruler. You know well, Vijayanagar Empire was administered by Sangama, Saluva, Tuluva, Araviti dynasties. So like that here what happened in the sense, so these two brothers were the especially feudatories of Venkatapati Rayalu, like that it was said, right? So like this, all these important things went well in the period of this one, you know well. So then they were especially manufacturing, so this cotton textile, cotton cloths they used to, cotton cloth only. So and so there is especially what happened, they started manufacturing and they were selling the cloth to this British, like that it was said. So then these two brothers gave permission to the British to establish their factories. So like that, gradually that was given to lease. Okay, gradually what happened in the sense, Madras was given to lease for this British. That is the thing which happened in the period of this one. Okay, Madras was given for lease, like that it was said. Have you got idea? So like this, all these important things went on well. In Madras, what happened? So in Madras we can say, or today we are calling Chennai, in Madras, the British established St. George Fort. British established which one? St. George Fort was established by this one. St. George Fort. St. George Fort was established by the British. So then in Madras, okay, it was established like that. It was said it was started in the year 1639. Later it was finished. It was started in which year? In 1639 only. In 1639 it was started. It was started like that. It was said. Later it was finished. I've got idea. So by 1342-43 that was finished like that. It was said. Okay, so anyhow what happened, St. George Fort we are calling. So these people, they established things well, like that we can say. Okay, so then Madras that advanced well in the period of the British. Madras, what happened in the sense, it advanced well or developed well, like that we can say. Madras, what happened, it developed well or advanced well in the period of this one, and it became the first municipality in India. Madras became the first municipality in India, like that it was in the year 1688. In 1688, Madras became the first municipality. In 1688, okay. In 1688, Madras became the first municipality. We can say first municipality, which became the first municipality in India. Madras became the first municipality, that is in the year 1688, like that it was said. Like that, they got control over Madras, you know well. Okay, so there is especially in Andhra what happened, Narsapuram, Veeravasaram, so Nizampatnam, Machilipatnam, Pulicat, Armugam, all these are the centers which are established by these people. How did they move to Bombay? That you know well. Okay, so in Indian history, so we have discussed that one. So in Bombay, what happened? Bombay that was originally under the control of the Portuguese princess Catherine Briganja. The Portuguese princess was Catherine Briganja, we are calling. This woman, what happened? She married British Prince Charles II. At this moment, the Portuguese people gave this Bombay as dowry to Charles II. Charles II, he was in London, and Bombay that is in India. That's why how to administer this one. So he thought. At last Bombay that was given to English East India Company by this Charles II. Okay, how did this Bombay? So there is go under the control of the British. English East India Company. They got control over Bombay. They got English East India got Bombay also. They got Bombay. Okay. So there is especially previously Bombay, what happened, it was under the Portuguese only. Under the Portuguese only, this Bombay, so that existed. Portuguese princess, this Portuguese princess was Portuguese princess Catherine Briganja, otherwise we are calling Catherine Mayo. Catherine Briganja. This Catherine Briganja, what happened? So this woman, she married Charles II. Married Charles II. Charles II. Okay. With this, Bombay was given as dowry to Charles II. Bombay was given as dowry to. Okay. So this Bombay was given as dowry to Charles II. Bombay was given as dowry. Okay. This was given as dowry to Charles II. Okay. This Bombay was given as dowry to whom? Dowry to this Charles II. With that, Charles II gave it to English East India Company. This Charles II gave it to English East India Company. Charles II gave it to. This Charles II gave Bombay to. Gave Bombay to English East India Company. Bombay to English East India Company. That you have to remember. Have you got idea? So like that, all these important issues that happen in the period of this, especially the British, like that it was said. So like that, the British, what happened in the sense, they came to Andhra, Machilipatnam in the year 1611. The first ship which entered Machilipatnam was Globe. The captain of the ship was Hippen. And the first British officer who entered Machilipatnam was Francis Day. And they established their centers there at Machilipatnam, Pulicat, after that Armugam. In 1626 only they established there at Armugam. In Armugam, when they were searching for markets, Damerla Venkatadri Naidu, Damerla Appaya Naidu, these two are brothers, they were the sons of Channappa. And the name of Channappa only, Channapattanam or Chennai, that was established, that you know well. So like that, all these important things went on well in the period of this British, you know well. Have you got idea? So the second people to come to Andhra, second Europeans to come to Andhra, the British like that. They went to Calcutta also, you know well. So Calcutta, especially there is in the period of rivalry that was started, Siraj Uddaula versus British, you know well, Battle of Plassey, 1757, June 23rd. Battle of Plassey, they got victory. Battle of Buxar, they got victory. With that, they got control over. So this Calcutta, after the British got victory in Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, the British got, what happened? The British got victory. The British got victory in the battles of, okay, battles of, which are these two battles in the sense? One is, so there is especially Battle of Plassey, we can say. One is, this is Battle of Plassey. Okay, one is Battle of Plassey, we can say. One is, we are calling Battle of Buxar. In these two battles, so they got victory. This is in the year 1757, you know well. This is in the year 1764, that also you know. Okay, like that. Who got victory? The British only got victory. The British got victory. So in the battles of, Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar, and established supremacy in Calcutta, and established and got control over established supremacy in India, like that it was said. In India. They continued in India till 1947, that you know well. They were the second people, okay, second people to come to Andhra, but they were the third people who left India. They were the third Europeans who left India, because they came in the year 1611 and at the same time they left. In 1608 only they came, because they came to the court of Jahangir, and at last in the year 1947 they left India, you know well, right? So these British were the third Europeans to leave India in the year 1947, that you have to understand. Then when these British, especially when they left India, so who was the Prime Minister of Britain? Clement Attlee. When India became independent country, Clement Attlee was the Prime Minister, that you know well, belongs to Labour Party. Which party he belongs? Labour Party only he belongs. Like that, in the year 1947 at last, India became free from the clutches of this a British, like that we can say. It completely became free, and at last it became republic. That's in the year 1950, January 26. So that also you know well. Anyhow, the British, what happened in the sense, introduced many things in India. So they only introduced the railways in India, telegraph system that was introduced, the postal system. Previously also in Sher Suri's period, postal system that came into force. But in the modern period, especially mainly, so that postal system, telegraph system, so railways, etc., they came into force in the period of the British. English education that was introduced in India, so by this British only, and the recommendations of Lord Macaulay, Lord William Bentinck introduced English education in India. That also you have to remember. Have you got idea? Sati Prohibition Act passed by the British. That also you have to know, right? So like this, all these important things went on in the period of the British. Anyhow, in Andhra, how did they establish? So power, supremacy, that also we have to see. Have you got idea up to this? Only we are seeing here in this. Next time, in the next topic, we have to see how this British established their supremacy or power in Andhra. That also we have to. Okay. So there's all these important things we have to. Questions they were asked. Who gave permission to this British in Machilipatnam? During that time, Muhammad Quli Qutub Shah existed. Then to establish their especially trade and commerce in Madras, who was this especially Vijayanagar ruler gave? Venkatapati Rayulu III. Who was this one? Venkatapati Rayulu III. And Madras rulers, feudatories, Damerla Venkatadri Naidu and Appaya Naidu, they also welcomed this British, like that it was said. At last, Madras became one of the important centers. Okay, Madras became one of the important centers. Like that, we have seen especially this one also. Have got idea? The British. Next one, we have to see the French, they were the third Europeans to come to Andhra. After that, last Europeans to come to Andhra, Portuguese. Have you got idea? So, like this, you have to understand all these important points in this. In the examination, so which are correct, which are wrong, like that, sometimes question may be asked. The first ship which entered Machilipatnam was Globe. Okay, suppose if they say Queen Victoria, so is it the correct answer? No, it is not the correct answer. It becomes wrong. Okay, Victoria ship may be there, but so which ship entered Machilipatnam means you have to answer Globe only. And who was the captain of the ship? Okay, Hippan was the captain of the ship. That is also one of the important one. So you have to, right? So like that, the British, what happened? They came to Andhra. From Andhra, they moved to Madras, and they established even in so there is Bombay. In Bombay, they established Saint David Fort. In Bombay, the fort which was established by the British was Saint David Fort. In Calcutta, they established Fort William. That was established there in Calcutta, like that it was said. Have you got idea up to this? Okay. So like this, British, they were the third Europeans to come to India, and they are the third Europeans who left India. The British were that you have to remember. Okay, the British were the third Europeans. The British were the third Europeans. Third Europeans. The British were the third Europeans to come to India. Come to India. They were the third Europeans to come to. So the British were the third Europeans to come to India, and they were the third Europeans who left India. And they were the third Europeans, and they were the third Europeans who left India. Europeans. So who left India? That you have to remember. But coming to Andhra, if you see, they were the second Europeans to come to Andhra. So they were the people who continued. Coming to Andhra, they were the second Europeans to come to Andhra. They were the British were the second Europeans. They were the second Europeans to come to Andhra. Second Europeans to come to Andhra. Have you got idea? So like that, all these important things went on well, like that we can see, right? So like this, the British we are calling, the British. Okay, in the period of the British, in Indian history, we have seen Sati Prohibition Act, that's in the year 1829. It was passed by Lord William Bentinck. So then Indian Railways came into force in the year 1853, Lord Dalhousie, that also you know well. So like that, many important things in Indian history will come across related with this British. Okay, so anyhow, another important area we have seen is the British. Got idea? So next one we have to see is, okay, the French. They were the people who came. The French were the people who came. So that we can see. Okay, thank you.